James from TDB here, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today we have Inbetweenisode number 500. So yeah, usually on these more reflective Inbetweenisode numbers, like to do with Denny and just kind of talk about GDB, where we've gone, whatnot. But in this case, since it's an Inbetweenisode, it is me on my own. Not really a natural habitat for me. But I did go back and rewatch Inbetweenisode number 1, where I brought on the exact same tea that we are going to be drinking on this Inbetweenisode, and it is a pretty unpretentious tea. It is the 2011 Yongde Organic Ripe Pour. Went ahead and watched that, and I remember some very random facts about that episode, about how I talked about how we bought that tea on the office budget at the time. Denny and I were business partners, and we had it was a business before the one that we work on now, and talking about how that was a nice thing. And then I went ahead and bought a second cake in 2013. So I guess before I filmed that in between, so yeah, it's just kind of funny that it was specifically ordered because one of our employees wanted organic tea. And so we're like, okay, well, it's ripe. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how much organic ripe they're making. And so we found this one, which was, I think, something like $13 from Yunnan sourcing, something like that. When we bought a second cake of it, the price had gone up a fair amount, but it was still sub $20. It was like $19 in 2013. Anyways, I quite liked the cake back then. I just recently opened that second cake that I bought 13 years ago. Just recently, so let's see how we feel about it now. Yongde is a area up in Linsang, not an area that I necessarily drink a lot of ripe tea from, not an area that I necessarily drink a lot of tea from in general. I'm not the biggest northern fan. I do drink some Shagwan, that's probably about as close as I get, which I guess you could fairly classify as northern, but kind of is its own sort of thing. Still using the same camera here. Another thing that was kind of funny about Inbetweenisode number 1, the setup was just a little bit different. I had my girlfriend at the time, who would become my wife, controlling the camera, and she just sort of pan down and pan up, which was a feature of a handful of the very, very first 3 or 4 Inbetweenisodes before it became kind of just a purely solo endeavor. And I also had my Tetsubin, and there was just all kinds of tea where it laid out back then. It's a couple different residences ago too, so it's just kind of funny to go back in there. I'm usually not one that rewatches the episodes, and when I do, it's in 2x. So I don't fault anyone for kind of going quickly through some of our old episodes. So yeah, here we go. Yongde Organic Ripe. I brewed that in just a good old Gaiwan. Since then, I've kind of changed my setup a bit, where ripes tend to get brewed in the morning in this big blue pot. So rather than doing the first steep, we are fairly far into it. Smells like ripe. Cheers. I feel like this is soft even for a ripe. It has this very nice, soft, creamy vanilla taste to it. A little bit sweeter than perhaps average. It's hard to describe how exactly this differs from dry ripe, but I do think this is actually still pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's very easygoing. This is definitely not a very fancy tea. So it's funny to think about that. And in Inbetweenisode 1, I talked about how the Inbetweenisodes were largely like a point to kind of compare and contrast Denny and my setups. And since then, I think the Inbetweenisodes have kind of, my Inbetweenisodes in particular, have kind of taken on their own form. For me, at least, it's been kind of an area that often exists between the normal episodes and between the articles that I put up on the site, and I've started to do again. That kind of allows me to explore different topics that are interesting, maybe not quite enough meat on the bone to do a complete article on it, or maybe it is something I've done an article on it and I want to bring it on to this kind of the video form. also can be a little more vlogish too. So in that sense, they have been kind of different. And you know, I didn't expect to kind of have that reinvigorated energy that we sort of got in 2024, but it's happened, and so we are getting an awful lot of James Inbetweenisodes, and hopefully a lot of Dennysodes continuing on this year. As well as the articles, which is something that had kind of died off at the beginning of the pandemic, mostly due to my health issues. And once I got kind of out of that rhythm, it kind of just went away for a while. But yeah, let's keep sipping along this tea. It's perfectly drinkable. In fact, the aroma is kind of fun. It's a little, it feels a little perfume infused. In some sense, it reminds me a little bit about Lubao, how they can be these sort of fermented funky things, but have this like really floral, top-noted aromatics that come in. I feel like I get that a lot less for the ripe that I tend to drink, but I'm getting a bit more of that here. No off notes, reasonably thick. Yeah, just a real easygoing tea. Yeah, and I do have a lot of tea to drink today, and I have a whole lot of cake to finish at some point. So I have yet to go through this whole cake, so this review is a little fresher in the sense that I haven't gotten a total feel for this cake quite yet. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in to 500 different Inbetweenisodes. It's been a lot of fun to do all of these. We will keep on drinking. Cheers, guys. Oops. And I didn't record the audio, so we're stuck with some very bare bones audio. Sorry, guys.